younger sibling, you heard people being like, come on, and it's sort of this nosy, brassy, horrible placement. It's also kind of like a wise guy. So actually, I think this is a good point of clarification. A lot of times when people are talking about timbral colors and they're talking about sing through your nose, sometimes you'll hear that. There's two different ways of thinking of that, and I think one of them is appropriate and one of them is really never all that usable. If you think about when you have a cold and you sing through your nose, the sound actually stops. It's like a and you're not going to find a lot of use for that. Whereas if you use this as a resonating chamber, you want the resonating big one. So anytime I refer to resonating through the sinuses, or sing through the nose, it is always the resonant one. It's not the closed off one. Okay, so saxophone. We talk tongue, top of the molars, the sort of nosy duck call like thing. Now, that's very good. It is like a flock of geese. It's great. Something that gives a saxophone a distinctive sound is the aspirant quality to it. So when somebody plays the saxophone, you will hear, if you listen carefully, the first thing you hear is not note. The first thing that you hear is the air as it is coming out. And so even though that seems like a subtle thing, that is the same degree to which we went from elephant to trumpet. We're going to go from duck call to saxophone. So I'll just give you a little demonstration. So that is sinusy. You're hearing the air comes first. It's sort of like this horrible, like, if any of you have cats, this sort of like, before the hairball comes out. Okay? You have to be okay with that. Okay, so tongue up to the molars. Good. All right. Oh, this is... See, you just get to see one face doing this. I get to see all of your faces doing this. All right. So repeat after me. Yeah. All right. This is one I think would also be beneficial. I'm going to do this without the mic. So you can fully enjoy the splendor of what this face is doing behind the mic, but also so you can hear that it is not very loud. So don't feel like you have to produce that much sound. So if I'm cool. Now, it's the details. It's the details that I feel bring you from a hobbyist face noise maker to the next level. Now, that's just experimentation. That's listening to recordings. I would say, I hope you walk away from this workshop with some ideas of how to progress with different instrument sounds and different funny sounds altogether. Imitating vocalists doing instruments doesn't make sense. Imitating instruments makes sense, because they're the instruments. So listen to recordings, see what you have to do to your voice to make this thing work. You might find that you are an absolute star at making an instrument sound that I've never even tried to make, and it just sits in your voice in a certain way. You might have talents you don't even appreciate right now, and you only find that out by experimenting. Okay. Questions about saxophone? No?
Yes, I do.
Please, yes.
Normally, the saxophone also gives a
yes
sound.
Yes.
How do you
So that is the aspirant thing. So For me, I meet in the middle. Instead of it being a closed embouchure, which would actually be wrapped around the mouthpiece, I feel like your face is functioning as the bell of the saxophone more than it is the mouthpiece. So that's by opening up, you get the roundness. But to get the aspirate sound, the air quality, the if I didn't put that air in front, it would just sound like it'd be a little more like a duck call. Whatever. And actually, if this is seeming like something that's totally alien, something to bear in mind is if you are singing with a choir, if you sing in a jazz choir, and you have, there's so many bad syllables. There's so many like ba ba shoo way, do ra, doobie doobie doobay, whatever. Like I'm sure all sung jazz charts with ridiculous syllables that don't make sense. You're like, all right, here we go again. But if you can all agree on what function the arranger is trying to capture, then you're going to find yourself in a totally different place. If you're singing a chart that has a lot of ba 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 in it, how does that change if you were to say, okay, these are trumpets, these are functionally trumpets, and you hit them, these are big bop 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 bop, versus, if you were thinking of them as pitched strings, or like even just being able to talk about, if you were to say, let's say you had, let's say Pink Panther theme. If you were singing a chart that was the Pink Panther theme, but all that was written was do 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 do, and you treat it like I'm a singer, not an instrument, it'll sound like do 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 do. Lame, as far as I'm concerned, super lame. But even without making the saxophone sounds, if you were imitating the function, if you're imitating the sort of the slinkiness and the shape and the dynamic contours and the sort of airiness behind it, even without making the saxophone sounds, even if all I'm singing are do's, you get a lot closer to a saxophone sound with I'm still singing do, but it's not do 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 do, etc. So you can, if you translate, it's part of your job as a singer in an ensemble, as a director of an ensemble, to either, if they're your arrangements, or to translate the arrangements for yourself and for your choir to say, in this section, functionally, we are the string section, so I need long arcing shapes with the hairpins, or if we are a brass section and we're doing these shots, it's much easier to make sense of that if you're thinking of it in terms of instruments. Does that make sense? Okay, great. All right, let's go from one funny face to another funny face.